my guest today. His songs are the product of times when he gets down. He has a cat named Sweetie and has amassed over 46,000 monthly Spotify listeners. Please welcome Nat Lefkoff to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. First thing I wanted to get into, I was, trying to learn more about you, preparing for this interview, stuff like that, looking at your Spotify, Instagram, and the Spotify, like, this is our first time meeting on like a call or anything, but I feel like I know like the basic like get to know you questions about you, like pets, what you like to do, hobbies, because it's a very personal like Spotify bio. What made you want to like be that open about like your personality versus focusing on like the music side of you?
Oh, yeah, I that's a good question. I was talking to someone. I've just always struggled with writing about myself or like the music or like
Yeah.
when I'll be playing a show or a festival or something and people will be like, "Hey, can you send us a bio along with photos that you want us to use?" And I've just like switched back and switched. I've changed that bio up so many times. I've had people write it
Yeah.
for me. Um, and yeah, it just kind of comes out as like really uh I'm just like embarrassed by it. And so
I
I
get
kind of just
that.
decided to approach it like a dating profile or something of just
Yeah.
like an actual bio because so many people just take themselves so seriously on those things. And, like I'm not at a level of where I have like millions of listeners or something. Like
Well,
I'm still
yeah, and
small.
if
So
if
it's like
if it's
yeah.
And if you write all about like, oh, he had this album got these charts, like it just sounds like like statistics or like a AI generated thing, and so it's like you wanna have that touch of humanity in it, which I get. I mean, I've gone on a couple other podcasts, and similarly, they've asked for like a bio and stuff, and it's always me doing a lot of questioning as to what I want to write or like how to how I want to calibrate it for that particular pitch. So
Yeah.
I understand that. But for the music side, what like got you into music in the first place, or what made you realize you have a passion for it?
Uh, just driving around as like a little boy in the car with my parents and having them introduce music to me and yeah, just like I don't remember when my appreciation for like songs started. And it's really like there's music, and then I think there's songs like songwriting, and
Yeah.
that's like what I get really excited about. I'm not a like I think I have a really strong voice and I have like a good ear, but like I'm not like I wouldn't. There's so many people out there that are like so much more of a musician than I am. But I got into it just yeah, I started playing when I was like 9 years old, and like instantly started writing songs. And then they, of course, were terrible. But yeah, just I think it was. I mean, it became therapeutic at a certain point as I like got into my teens, and uh, yeah, it like became a form of self expression and like amalgamizing what goes on inside of any person's head, but like yeah, what was going on inside of me, and it's if just like I think with lots of art forms, it's powerful to be able to articulate um, the like formless, uh, like rolling ball of like emotions and thoughts into something that's concrete and does have form, like a song or a painting or something like that. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely like it's therapeutic to do, and yeah, and then I started to get outside praise for it, and that like gave me more confidence, and yeah, now it's just the best. It's the best thing ever. I'm like so excited that I get to do it.
Yeah, awesome. And so it if you learned that early on that like you really have a passion for songwriting, was it like you wanting to pursue music from the start, or was there any other like career paths or things that you wanted to pursue?
Oh yeah, I mean, when I was a little kid, I was like, oh, I want to be a rock star. And
Yeah.
when you're in third grade and you're playing soccer, you're like you have dreams of becoming a soccer
Oh
player.
yeah.
And yeah. So
You better
I'm
believe that in my childhood I have had dreams of me playing in probably every major league
yeah,
sport in in the world.
totally, yeah. Yeah, who's 5'9 3/4" and is gonna play in the NBA? Like this fucking guy. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying not to cuss on your podcast. I don't know.
It's all right. It's whatever feels natural to
All
you.
right,
It's
cool.
fine.
All right, great. Yeah, I was before. I mean, I've been doing music since like pursuing it and like having bands and like playing shows since I was very young. But like as I have gotten older, I've only gotten more and more serious about it. So I was
Mhm.
always kind of doing it on the side, but I was like doing a lot of like human centered work, like people centered work before I was doing music full time. So my sister has developmental disabilities, and that got me like working in day programs and care centers and in-home care for folks with disabilities. And before COVID, I was a teacher, and during COVID, I was working doing disaster relief around COVID. So like working in quarantine centers and doing pickups for people to like who were COVID positive. And that was at the time like the when nobody knew what was going on. So
Yeah.
I was like driving around in a minivan with the middle row taken out, and we had like stapled like thick plastic sheeting in the middle of the van and put people like patients in the back, and then I would drive in the front with like a full Tyvek suit on and like goggles over my glasses and two N95 masks on, and it was like that was the protocol.
Yeah.
uh, and then I would like sanitize the back every time with this like terrible like fungicide, uh, like antibacterial stuff, antiviral. Um, but yeah, so I was doing work that was around people, like that was always my interest as far as just like people, like jobs that felt like I was directly working with other people and learning about other people and helping other people.
Yeah. Awesome.
I had like a realization earlier on, or like probably towards the end of high school, where I didn't know what I wanted to do, and um, it made me feel kind of lost. And I just had this realization of like, well, if I'm gonna be alive, I want it to be for like the good of other people, even if it's just like one or two other people. So yeah, I stuck with that, and then yeah, and then after I had that job during COVID, and I moved to a different part of California where I didn't really have a social life, and I don't know, people didn't really have a social life anywhere at that point. And I just dug in super hard at my job and like kept getting promoted. And as restrictions started to ease up and the world started to open a little bit, I like had a little pool of money that I'd never had before, and um, I like made the choice to to do it full time because I was just like, it had been a year of not playing any shows, and I was just like, it was depressing, and I was just
Yeah.
looking at my life being like, is this it? Like, is this what I'm gonna do? Like, am I gonna be 30 and then 35 and then 40 and then 45 and 50, like doing this every day, and it doesn't feel fulfilling? And yeah, and so I went for it, and like, yeah, then it became a series of like bought 1,000 t-shirts,
Yeah.
uh, as like an investment, and yeah, like
Yeah.
bought
Awesome.
yeah,
No, it's
and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, but it's awesome that, you're so selfless and wanting to help others. And I mean,
I'm
like
not. Like it's like for a self so that I feel good. But yeah,
yeah,
sure.
but
Thanks.
it is still important. And it's like whatever to a point, whatever reasoning behind it, like it's still overall a good thing. And music, maybe not directly like being in home with someone like that, but can uh can help others in a way, whether that's emotionally or however else. And so I think it is like, still relevant um to more or less your ultimate goal. But if there is someone else who like is maybe in that situation where like they've saved up a good chunk of money and is like questioning if they want the 9 to 5 life or like becoming a musician, what tips or advice would you give to them about like getting started and like taking that leap into music?
I mean, I think there's like a million ways to do it, like just like a lot of things. I mean, I would say like, yeah, make sure you have like a good base to start with. Like, it's one thing to like have been working on a project alone by yourself that you haven't showed anyone, that you've never like taken on the road, that you've never like that you've only like self-recorded, that no one's listened to, and be like, I'm quitting my job and I'm gonna do this full time. like that's probably a riskier decision than the one that I made, which was like, I have like thousands of people who listen to my music online, and I've been doing this for a long time, and I have like cello players that I can play with, violinists, drummers, bass players. I have, like I have something to work off
You,
of, like a
yeah, you've
framework.
built up a
So I would say
network.
like, yeah, like figure out like what that is before you make that choice, and then and yeah, I mean, have some personal funds available, like because those investments are, I mean, it's a like I feel like I'm running a small business here, and I love it. It doesn't like take away the beauty of it or like the artistry
Yeah,
of it. It actually, I love that part of it. It's really fun to talk about. I can go on for a long time, but like yeah, like figure out what you're going to invest in, because shows don't like when you're at this level, like you can get $1,000 payout for a show, which like sounds good, but if you have a full band with you, then that's $250 for each of the four members of the band, including yourself, and that's accounting for like rehearsal time and like Noah drives from East Sacramento to where I live in Davis, and that's a 40-minute drive, and then he
yeah,
drives back home. So that's an hour and 20 minutes just in the car alone, plus his gas every time we rehearse. So when I give him 250, like that's not enough. So like I usually the like door money goes to the band, and then I rely on merch. So yeah, like the other piece of advice there is like get figure out how you're gonna make money. Like that the 1,000 t-shirts,
yeah.
that like feels like a lot. And like when it showed up on my doorstep, like that felt, I mean, here. So
Yeah,
this is
let's see these 1,000
before you
t-shirts.
think that, sweetie. Okay, yeah. A bowl of popcorn from the night before too. But like this is less than 1,000 t-shirts. This is just like in my spare room in my house, but yeah, just like boxes of t-shirts all the time.
Yeah, the
Um,
t-shirt room, obviously.
this is basically the t-shirt. Yeah, it's like the merch room in my house. But like it when it first showed up on my doorstep, 1,000 t-shirts, I was just like, oh my god, what have I done? Like, why did I just sink $7,000 into t-shirts? But then you sell them all for 25 bucks a pop, and that's 25 grand. And yeah, and then that is like real income.
Yeah,
And now I just like that. Those t-shirts are like numbers 3,000 to 4,000 as far as like units moved and stuff. So there's like so many different ways to game it. I would just say also another really good piece of advice that somebody gave me. I went on tour with a band called Hoba Johnson that's out of Sacramento, and opening up for them. It was like it's really generous of them to bring me along. And afterwards, I was talking to Jordan, one of the band members, and I was back home. He was like checking in, like, how's it feel being off the road? Like after playing to like 500 to 1,200 people every
yeah.
night, and uh, and I was like, good. I'm just like looking at my funds. Like I think I maybe like will try to find a job like working part time at a bar or something like that. And he was like, don't do that. Like, like let yourself like be um like in need, if that's what it comes to. Like go all in. Don't be like don't have a job that's going to be taking your focus away, or like if there's ever one show that you miss because you have to work your job, like that's a total complete loss.
Yeah.
And that's really worked for me to be,
Yeah,
like it
and
keeps me hungry for what I'm doing. It's not like I don't love what I'm doing or like I have to be forced, but it's just like it's like a kick in the ass to be like, keep doing it. Like if
yeah.
this is your job, then treat it like a job. Like put 40 hours a week into it, and if you don't, then don't expect it to.
Well, and there is that mentality of like if you have a part-time job, or if you're working another job that's like paying a salary, it's like it's almost like a safety net. You're like, okay, well, I'll try music, but like if it doesn't work, I have this, and without that, it like really, like you said, pushes you to focus on music and really get it done, because like you don't have another option or another income stream. Um,
Right. I'm sure
and
there's a
I
lot
mean,
there too. I'm not, the advice is not like quit your
yeah,
job.
and it is save up enough funds, and if you feel like this is something you want to do and you have the passion for, then after consideration, do it.
Yeah.
Not just like listen to this podcast, quit your job, and go for music.
For
Um,
sure, like, do it as a side hustle for a while and see what it looks like and,
yeah,
look at that and be like, "If I did this full time, how much might it evolve and change?" And yeah.
yeah. Hey, it's Heroek, and this episode is sponsored by me. Well, kind of. If you don't know, I recently started a clothing line called Quest Clothing, which you can shop right now. I'll leave some pictures here on the screen, but we got the core collection, which is just this sleek black and white design on a bunch of products. And then we also have some more like merch style stuff with cover arts for my songs and things like that. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm really excited that I now have it. And so expect a lot more collections, a lot more designs coming out soon. I'll leave a link to it down below, and if you want to stay up to date with any new releases or anything like that, follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram. So go get cool designs like this, or even this, and you'll be helping me support all of this, the podcast, the music, everything. Plus, it just looks cool. We even got this nice big letter design on the back. Look at that. Look how cool that looks. So head to the link in the description to get yourself some Quest clothing, and make sure to follow at Shop Quest Clothing on Instagram for updates with new collections and stuff like that. And now back to the episode. I'm sure like playing to crowds like that was awesome each time that you go out there, but like rewinding a bit, what was your first live show like, or your first experience as like Nat Lefkoff at,
Oh.
like
The first time I grew up going to a Unitarian Universalist church, which is
mhm.
like, uh, not to offend anyone, but it's like the least religious religion that I've come across at least. But yeah, like very whatever. We don't need to talk about that. But uh, I like appreciated that experience for sure. But
Yeah.
there was always live music at the church, and when I was in like eighth grade, I was asked to play "After the Gold Rush" by Neil Young for the congregation. So that was the first time that I like played. It wasn't my song, but that was the first time I played music to like a crowd of adults and like got people like standing up and clapping and like crying. And that felt powerful. But so that's like that was one of the first times I remember just being like not playing for like friends or like at a
Yeah.
friend's bar mitzvah or to my parents or my family members and having them be like, "Wow, you're good," like it was like more strangers like coming up and being like that was a moving experience. I can't remember the first time that I like played as me like my songs
Yeah.
where it felt
Yeah,
like
that's
the
fine.
iteration of what it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And maybe like it's interesting that you mentioned this experience, like considering getting like a part-time bartending job or anything like that. Has there been other moments like that where you question like slowing down the music pursuit, or like maybe balancing it with something else, or even taking a break?
Yeah, there have been some. Yeah, there have been times. I mean, taking a break from anything is great, and I have the luxury of like making my own schedule and deciding my own life. So like right now, I'm sort of I'm yesterday I had a 5 hour rehearsal. The day before that, did like a 6 hour recording session. But I'm not like hitting the road for like 2 months, maybe even 3 months, and that feels like amazing to be at home and like I'm gonna go to the gym later today, and like
Yeah.
I ate salad yesterday.
You're
Just
enjoying life. You have a life.
exactly like I don't, yeah, yeah, like the routine is nice. So yeah, there's definitely times when I like want to take breaks, and it's good to take breaks. And then there have been like I do side hustles. Like I'm not gonna like I'm not going to shake a stick at an opportunity to make money. I have a friend who
Yeah.
does like a private. He's self-employed doing construction and like woodworking for people. So there was
Awesome.
like a period last year where there was someone who had a farm property um, out here in this area, and they wanted a bunch of outdoor shade structures built. So my friend and he hired me onto that, and we spent like probably a month and a half building these like large structures out on this guy's property. So and that's great. Like I get to use my
Yeah.
body and swing a hammer and like have a beer at lunch with one of my best friends and make good money. But it wasn't ever, something where I was like beholden to a schedule. If I couldn't show up one day, he knew
Yeah.
it. Um, but no, I've never really like it's I'm coming up on 3 years of doing this full time, and there hasn't really been a moment where where I've wanted to stop or like yeah, I mean like I'll doubt myself all the time. But
Yeah, but that's everybody does that. People
yeah,
like
yeah,
artists are not like people doubt themselves in jobs all the time.
yeah, everyone has like some form of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think the thing that really has kept me going is I mean it kind of goes back to like the helping people thing. Like it's it's one thing to have like big crowds and like a nice listener base and making money or not making money, but which does fluctuate all the time. And yeah, sometimes I play to 8 people and sometimes it's 800. Like that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but like those things that I just described are like cool metrics, but like I think they're kind of empty at the end of the day. Like that's not like what fills me up as a artist. What does fill me up is like I really am like so lucky, but about like at least once a week I get somebody sending me a message on Instagram or through my email, just being like, "Hey, I don't think you're ever gonna read this, or not sure if you're ever gonna read this, but like, your music changed my life and got me through this time. So like, thank you so much. And this song like really resonated with me. And after the death of so and so, like I was going through this, and yeah, I mean, like just I was at a show in Colorado last last summer, and like this family there was these two siblings and their brother and they came out. It was just like in someone's backyard hosting a show and there was maybe 30 people there. And at the end of it they like I said hi to all of them and then the brother and sister came up to me and they're like, hey, like we really want to thank you. Like our brother was like a total addict and was just like in and out of recovery and like he found your album and that was like he listened to it just like every day and like that was like the thing that he like latched onto and now he's like has a baby and is like been sober for 2 years and yeah, I ended up like hugging them and we all cried and like we like it
Yeah.
was just amazing and yeah, just those moments of like that fills me up with purpose and makes me feel like I did something in the world that is uh, important and I like feel
Yeah.
so lucky and grateful to be able to have that experience because like I think a lot of people can like
And
work
yeah,
their whole lives looking for something like that and not find it
not
or
achieving it. Yeah.
mhm,
But I think it is super important, especially because like now with how accessible things with music are. I was just talking with an artist and we bonded over it. He was like, I have this MIDI keyboard and my laptop and I make music from that. And I was like, yeah, that's awesome. Like you can it's very affordable to build like a home studio or even like a small setup nowadays
mhm.
and you just like put it out through a distribution service or things like that. And it's with just like all this internet connectivity numbers, it's hard to like conceptualize that, but I think it's awesome that you're getting these experiences in person, like you said, hugging people that really makes it feel real. And I'm sure it probably helps the and any level of imposter syndrome you have, which is probably in part caused by this like online world that a lot of us are in now, especially with music. You know, a lot of artists are promoting themselves on social media like just as much as they're actually making music and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to hear your thoughts on like how much social media is like a player or a big role in the music world today.
Yeah, I mean, I don't uh like the music world is a big world. But the
Yeah.
way um I like I try to use like I have a TikTok, I think I posted one video on it and I just like I never look at it and I don't as soon as I got it, I was like, this is overwhelming and I don't want this feels soul sucking and
Yeah.
like I would love to pay someone to like manage it sort of. I was like for a second I have like a friend who's just a total fucking clown and I was like, do you want to just do this as like my friend and like the page looks like, hey, I'm Nat's friend and like here's a video of him playing
That's
that I found,
awesome.
just like not like, hey
Yeah.
guys, what's up? I have this album coming out. Like I cringe when I see like everyone has their own journey, but I
Well,
like I
and it's also like a clear difference between the artists promoting themselves and the artists like being told that they should promote themselves, and like you
Right.
can pretty clearly see the difference between those two.
Yeah, and that's like why like on my Instagram I try to have it like on the stories. I'll just like say sometimes that I'm having a show, but like it's I use it as a mode of outreach and like communication, not like to have a social media presence. And
Yeah,
I mean I just post shit on there that I think is funny and like or
as you
like
should.
sweet, you know, and like
Yeah,
that like I treat it like a personal account. And because I use it also like a personal account. So yeah, I don't, you know, I'll put videos of me playing or whatever, because I think that is important to have like some things out there that people can look at. But I really try to just, uh, I got a website. People can go
yeah,
online and look at it, and Spotify is almost like a form of social media these days, I guess. And
yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I use it mostly as like a tool for communicating, and it's awesome that people have a place to find me at, and like a very quick way to be like, oh, I'm gonna reach out and like say that, say what I appreciate
yeah.
or ask a question. Or I mean, I use it to organize tours. Last summer I did 3.5 months on the road by myself, and that was crazy. Uh we can go into that later, but I did it primarily through like every time somebody was like, hey, I love your music, like, thank you, or sending one of those messages, I started to just be like, wow, thanks so much, respond to what they said, and then be like, where are you in the world? Like, would you ever want to host a house show? Like, those are my favorites. And so I have this list of like 500 or 600 like people or places to reach out to with their contact info and where they are and like what they're thinking of, what they've mentioned, how to get back in touch with them, so that someday when I'm going through their area, I can reach out and be like, hey, like, would you still want to host me at your grandma's backyard? Um, and yeah, that's like huge to be able to have a space where people. It's not just like here's my email. It's a page that's like here's my face, here's my cat, here's my
It's
friend.
very it's genuine. It's a connection to you. They're talking into you.
Yeah,
It's not automated responses. It's not a like team looking through it or anything like that. But
yeah,
it's going to you, which is so cool. I did want to get into that because I was like checking around on your website, and like the fact that you were like talking about like, do you want me to come to your house or your
mhm,
aunt's house? And it was like so awesome that you were so open to that and like wanting to truly just like play wherever we'll have you rather than like needing to hold out for like a true like venue or anything like that or like book a gig um
mhm.
because it's awesome and it's getting to know you now like I'm guessing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing that you're going to try to like keep that going as long as you can or until it's at the point where like no longer sustainable or just too many like requests and too many locations to go through.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no
Um,
problem.
yeah, I want to keep doing that forever. Like, I hope it gets to a point where it's like overwhelming, but like that's the one of the coolest parts about all this. And when I talk about like a 40-hour work week, like I treat those messages as part of my job.
Yeah.
Like
It's
responding to
it's like
the.
answering
Yeah,
emails at a job.
totally. Yeah, and not just like, wow, thanks a lot. Because I've reached out to artists before and been like, dude, your stuff's amazing. Like, just spent like a week in the desert listening to you, and like I just listened to your whole discography, and like you're awesome. And people will just be like, thanks, exclamation mark, which is, everyone do this their own thing. I wasn't just like,
Yeah.
that's mean. But like that's not, I don't want to do that to folks. I want to be like,
Yeah, it's that or
"Oh,
like
nice,
there have
right."
been that or a couple times where I've reached out to artists and it'll be like, thank you so much for your support for X band, and it'll be like the band team or something like that. And it's
Right.
like, well, it's like nice that they saw the message, but it'd be nicer if I like had some knowledge that it was the band themselves saying it. Um,
Yeah, and people are busy and everyone has their own way of interacting. So I'm a social person, and like that's exciting to me. And
yeah,
I'm
awesome.
honored. It's an honor.
Hey, if you're like me and you're interested in the YouTube or creator space, you should check out The Published Press. The Published Press is a completely free newsletter founded by YouTubers Colin and Samir. They host their own podcast talking to some of YouTube's largest creators. They've edited some of the best content I've seen on YouTube, and now they're sharing their knowledge about the YouTube space with you for free. The Publish Press comes out 3 times a week, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, with everything going on with your favorite creators and platforms. And like I said, it's completely free. Just enter your email address to receive the Publish Press whenever it comes out, and that's it. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below, sign up to the Publish Press, and get all the info you need on the industry. So you mentioned like knowing all these musicians and being a social person when you're coming up with a new song or like in that creative process. Is it a lot of bringing in musicians, being collaborative, or is it mostly like you writing a song and then finding people to fit whatever you come up with?
I write a song on like the piano or guitar, and like for the most part have it like completely like the structure of the song is set, the lyrics are set, the melodies are set, and then I bring it to my friend Rowan McGuire, who's he has a studio here in Davis. He produced all my entire last album. We grew up together playing roller hockey, just like a
Awesome.
he's become like a super close. He's one of my best friends. He's an awesome guy, like sweet, gentle man, and just like immensely talented, and just a total fucking genius. But he has like a nice in-home studio that he's invested in and built out, and so I'll bring songs to him, and he is my like yeah. He plays. He's a multi instrumentalist, and he produces and records and mixes everything. So um, I mean, him and I will shoot back and forth, and I'll be like, "This is kind of how I'm picturing this song, like a big heavy drum beat here," and
Yeah.
I'm saying, and we'd be like, "Pa pa 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 pa," and just totally non musical shit. Or I'll be like, I can hear like I think the cello would be really nice here, and he totally like builds out the songs, or
Yeah.
like the music. He told like I
He's
that's
helping your vision come to life.
yeah, and I mean, so much of it is his vision too. Like I would
Yeah.
be lying if I was like, "Oh yeah, it's all in my head," and like he like translates it to music. It's not in my fucking head. Like I write a song, and it's like writing like a movie script or something. Of like, yeah, this is a great idea for a movie. Like amazing. Wow, the plot, the characters, the lines are awesome, but like it's yeah,
But we get other
Rowan.
writers to just like fill it out and have it
Yeah,
become
like
like a full
he's
thing.
the yeah, I like write Jurassic Park, but he's like the fucking dinosaurs in the act. Like, just that's a stupid analogy, but yeah, like like it gives a body
It's
to like
it's a
yeah, it puts
collaboration.
meat on the bones. Yeah, absolutely, it's a collaboration. I'm proud of. I'm not like uh, I acknowledge like what I'm good at and what I do, but yeah, I can so much
Yeah.
of that. How it actually sounds at the final product is like such a product of him, and yeah.
And those ideas, are they like mostly just you trying to come up with them, or are you like taking inspiration from other artists or bands?
I think I mean, every now and then we'll like use other tracks as a reference when him and I are talking to each other
Yeah.
about like something could sound like. But yeah, I think for the most part, both of us try to just approach the song as it is. Like yeah, try to see it, just approach it head on without like
Yeah.
a lens over our eyes to see it a certain way, and then yeah, it'll change.
Yeah. Awesome.
Also,
And
like I'll play live with the band or with certain people, and that kind of informs like that's how the song is going to sound when we record it. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, awesome. And so I do want to get into now like the music itself, certain songs and albums of yours. Starting things off, like Great White Plains is your most streamed song on Spotify, with over 1.7 million streams. Did you know that that song was gonna like blow up or take off the way that it did, or did you have like a thought that this is something special?
I mean, I I wouldn't put music out if I didn't think it was special on some level.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I thought it was special, but I really liked that song, but I didn't know that like this is going to be the one that like blows
yeah,
up. And I think the version you're talking about is I like recorded that in my college dorm room by myself, with like two microphones,
yeah,
and
yeah,
like you should have seen that garage. It was on GarageBand too, which is a great program. But yeah, like that. Those project files just looked fucking crazy. Like the amount of stems that are there, and just yeah, um, uh, yeah. I didn't really know what was going to happen with it. I mean, like
Yeah.
I knew people appreciated that song when I would like play it live. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
and I wanted to get into, you mentioned it there. There are like two versions of it on one on each of the uh albums that you have out. What like was it, did you feel like you could make it better, or what made you want to like re-record it or come up with a new version for it?
Yeah, I wanted to like clean it up.
Mhm.
Just that first album is not like really a like it's that was just like kind of a dump of songs. Like I put that out in like 2017 because somebody was like, "Dude, you don't have any music on Spotify," and I was like, "Yeah, I got on Bandcamp and SoundCloud though," and they're like, "Don't, that's not gonna work." Um, so yeah, I like went through CD Baby for that stuff, and I just grabbed everything that I was like proud of at that point that I had recordings of, and just put that out. Um,
Yeah, awesome.
so yeah, it was like a kind of a like a dump, and so it was nice to just like pluck a few songs from there. Like there's the track Albatross too. I think those are the only two. Um, oh, and Damn as well. I had a recording of Damn on there. And yeah, just like to beef them up and like have a higher fidelity version of them.
Yeah.
Um, but I also do like I'm proud of that. Like two mic version also. There's like a sweetness to that. I think that people do get really hung up on like the crispiest, cleanest recording in the
Yeah.
world, but like dude, there's so many songs that were recorded in the 1930s or whatever, and like those are the best versions of them.
Yeah.
Because if
And
you're,
it is like not exactly, but it's similar to like having like a live version of a song out or an acoustic version out, things like that. Just like another way to hear or experience like a song by an artist that you like.
totally, yeah. We have I've got I have another album coming out mid September of this year, and
Awesome.
the plan for that, like we're almost done recording it, and then we're gonna start recording pretty much immediately after these recordings are done, and while Rowan's mixing is just like have a few videographers come into the studio. We're gonna put a bunch of like dried flowers up on the wall and like pin them to the wall, and um, I'm just gonna go in for like 2 or 3 weeks every day and just like wear the same clothes, trying to make it look like a single session, and just do live like high quality recordings, like live recordings with videos of like the stripped back versions of the song. Um,
Yeah, awesome.
it's just, like me on guitar or maybe Rowan or like a cello, just like yeah, just a totally like a more naked version of the songs
Yeah.
because that's also like those are my favorites sometimes.
Yeah. Awesome. And I now that you mentioned that, let's just jump right into it. Like this album you have coming up. What can you tell us about it, or what can listeners sort of like expect from it?
Yeah, I'm like really proud of. I think it's some of the there's a couple songs on there that are just like the best songwriting I've ever done. I think that I'm like the most proud of.
Yeah.
It's called "There You Are." Um, uh, yeah, I had somebody, an old friend, talking about her sobriety and like her journey with that, and I hadn't seen her for a long time, and I was just like, wow, what is that like? And I think it might be this thing that I'm about to say is someone was like, oh yeah, that's like a facet of AA, but she was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like I just go to a party and I'm just there. Like go to a concert and I'm just like fully there. And like I go to a bar and I'm just like all the way there. Like everywhere you go, there you are, or wherever you go, there you are. I think is what she said, and that just like stuck with me. And then I proceeded to drive around the country in my minivan, just like getting hammered with strangers all the time, and like recovering from a breakup. And yeah, just like kept thinking of that. Like we like all run from everybody runs from themselves. I think that's like a human. Uh, I think it might be a necessity. Is there's just like healthier ways to do it than
Yeah.
others. Like taking a break from like your conscious. That's why people meditate, because they're just like they have to like cut the noise sometimes. Um, it's like hard to be here and like existing and like taking everything in all the time and
Yeah.
being completely honest with yourself and honest with everything around you. Um, like it's a beautiful world, but like it's heavy. And even just like sitting with yourself is heavy. So people need to take breaks. So yeah, that the concept of the album is just like, I mean, I think with any of my a lot of my music's about this, but just like you can't run from yourself. Like at the end of the like wherever you go, you're taking yourself with you. Um, yeah, so the I'm really stoked about the album art, and the title track of the song is called "There You Are." The title track of the album. And yeah, that's I think that's the best song I've ever written. Like lyrics on paper. Like I'm so proud of that one. And yeah, I think it's also has to compare it to like the last album that came out. Um, I think it's like Rowan and I were talking about it, and we are describing like the colors of it, the
Yeah.
color of the sounds, uh, and like it's a lot more like darker blues and like darker reds and maroons, kind of like a more of a dim light album than like a. The other one felt like there was like in a bright room, like a lot
Yeah.
more moments of that of
Yeah.
like, yeah, very like colorful and vibrant. And this one, it's still vibrant, but it's yeah, it feels more like a twilight um, sort of time of day in a lot
Yeah.
of the
Do
songs. Yeah.
do you do a lot of that like visualization of like what an album feels like, or like what kind of, for lack of a better word, vibe it's giving off?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I maybe not for like the whole. We brought in a cello player, Natalie, for one of the songs on there called Avalanche Slowly, and we were we were all just laughing because like we kept uh using words like yeah, but can you do that? But like make it like like slimier, and it totally worked. Like you just have to
Yeah.
kind of go for it. But and so it's fun. It's hilarious and effective. I think to communicate like
Yeah, no,
music
it's
that.
awesome. And that's like a sign of like good collaboration. I was watching like a making of, or like behind the scenes video of an artist that I like, Jay Joseph, who was like in the studio with like someone who was helping him like make the album and produce it. And they have this bit where it was like, to see to just like show how good of collaborators they were. They were like, if I they were playing like almost a little game of like, if I told you to make a recording sound like bloodier, what kind of plugin would you use for that? Or just like talking about that, like just understanding what each other is trying to say, or like what's in their head, and getting that out to help it come to life.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, it's a fun like side. Yeah, I love that stuff. It's a fun
Yeah.
side way of like, describing. I mean, the most fun this like songwriting or writing or maybe any art in general is like you're trying to describe something that's indescribable, like
Yeah.
a feeling or like the stuff that's good that like resonates with me, like yeah, not just that what's good, like it's, art is subjective, but like the art I resonate with is like yeah, people try and like the stuff that circles a group of feelings or like yeah, you're like trying to surround something. Um, mm, it's like it's like a ghost, and you like throw dust or like chalk in the air, and then it
Yeah.
lands on the ghost. Oh, there's a ghost there.
Okay.
But the whole
Yeah.
time, it's like a visible thing. Like I think that's how uh, the art that I appreciate like is.
Yeah.
So it's fun to describe like the musical aspects of it in that same way of just like I don't know, like crunchy. Yeah, like can you make it sound bloodier with a plug-in? Like that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the same gears that are turning. Yeah, but just in a different way.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely.
Are you a music artist trying to find a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible? Then check out DistroKid. DistroKid is a super user-friendly and super easy-to-use service that will make your music available in stores like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon Music, YouTube, Snapchat, everything. Everything you could imagine, it's available. People will even be able to add your songs into their Instagram stories. DistroKid helps you with the distribution, monetization, and promotion of all of your music. Use the link in the description of this video for 7% off any DistroKid package you want. Pick from musician packages designed to help artists get their own music out there, or even get a label package where you can manage up to 100 artists from one profile. So that's more for like managers, labels, and you can also get the musician package that I mentioned earlier, which is more for artists, producers, things like that. It's super easy, and you can get 7% off any package right now with the link in the description of this video. So once again, if you're looking for a way to get your music on as many streaming platforms as possible, I'm talking any platform you can think of, get DistroKid and get 7% off right now with the link in the description. Back to the program.
Looking at your Spotify, it's just the 2 like album releases, and those are spaced out as like a lot of bands and artists' albums are. And you mentioned like coming out with a new one. Are you pretty ready to like stick to this album by album release cycle, or do you ever think about like releasing singles or like one-off songs and things like that?
Yeah. So I'm gonna talk about, so much about Rowan because he's literally half this project.
Yeah.
But like he's encouraged me to do that a few times, and I see the merit in it. But I also I push back on it because this has been working, and I just like don't want to.
What
I don't
don't
know.
fix it if it's not broken, you know,
Yeah,
that
sort of,
that
and like the same. I think it's like the same reason that you release like. I mean, it's not so much like a story like a TV series is, but like you drop all that at the same time. You don't like, or like it's all made and you go like episodic week by week instead of just like a random like here's one. And I think for the excitement too, like when someone is like check out my new single and they do that 6 or 7 times a year, um
yeah,
it's just like a little bit less.
it
I don't
doesn't
know.
feel as special.
Yeah, instead of like, hey, it's been 3 years, here are 10 songs that like I've worked so hard on, and if I'm gonna make a post like that or like pitch it to the world during my shows or something,
Yeah.
instead of like check out the new song we just put out, it's like check out this album that we just put blood, sweat, and tears into for the last three,
Check
5
out the encapsulation of my past 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it feels more like an actual. There's just like more gravity to it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
And
and yeah, that is I'm a huge fan of 21 Pilots. Like year after year, they're my most listened artist, and Tyler, the lead singer of that, was talking about like how they're very album focused. Like most of the time, it's just album, and only somewhat recently, I would say like starting around when the pandemic started, they got more used to singles, but even then have only done like I think 2 or 3 if I'm remembering correctly. Um, but and because he's a big proponent of like albums, and he's like he really likes that and like putting in all the work that it takes to get there, but on the other hand was like it's weird working on something for 4 years, however long it is, and then like going off the grid for 4 years and like coming back to your fan base and being like here's 45 minutes to an hour of songs and then it's like to have like spending all that time to come up with something that in the grand scheme of things isn't that long, but clearly took so much effort and work and things like that and has so much emotion tied into it. I feel like is can be scary, but it is most of the time rewarding and worth it.
yeah, I think so. But yeah, I think there is like a world where singles, there's a song that I have that like doesn't really belong in the album, and so we're like putting that to the side, and we're like, do we put it on the next album or like for those, it's like let's release it not as like a got to keep them entertained sort of way, but
Yeah.
just more like this song isn't part of the album. Um,
It's in limbo. It's not part of the album, but like I'm not gonna scrap it because it's like good enough to be
right,
released. So it's like finding the right place for it.
right,
Yeah,
yeah.
awesome. And so I mean like on top of your album work, you do have a collaboration as much as you bring other people in to work on your music. You've worked with Jack Symes on one of his songs. What was that experience like going from something you're creating or you're the main artist of to like working with someone else?
Oh yeah, I mean he was really generous. I don't even know if like he put my name on that track, and I like he definitely did not need to do that. I didn't write that song at all. He had the whole entire thing written. All I did was sing the harmonies for the chorus there. So that was super generous of him. I like yeah, I Rowan sings on my songs, and he like is part of my project. He drums during all the live shows. He is like super super involved, and I don't say like Nat Lefkoff and Rowan McGuire
Yeah.
because his voice is on it. So like that was really generous of him, and it was a long time ago too. So it was fast. I mean, Jack had that song written, and we were. I mean, yeah, that was like 2016 or 17 now. So that's like eight years ago. And we were just touring in a minivan together. And I forget where we were, but he brought his like a small recording setup with him, and I think he already had a lot of it recorded. But yeah, he was just like, yeah, I'd love your voice on this. So I just hopped on it.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. And so thinking of like your own music or like the kind of music you just like to listen to on like a daily basis, if you got a chance to like work with any artist or band that you would want to on a song, who would you want to work with?
Oh man, that's crazy. I don't know. uh,
And you can toss out like a bunch of different names, and you don't literally just have to name one.
yeah, I mean, like Caroline Palachek's amazing. Bon Iver, Frank Ocean. Um, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard because it's like I don't want to write a song with another person necessarily. Like it's a deeply personal thing, and like
Yeah.
it's fun to collaborate. Like my friend Amber and I were like we'll like sit and hear each other's songs and be like, "That's cool. Like that makes me think of this." And we were having a discussion about it just a few days ago, where it's like that doesn't become my song too. Like that is your song.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you're working on it, and like I was in the room and like helped bounce an idea off, and
I
you took
can
it.
I can give you feedback and ideas without needing credits in
Right,
on the song.
right, because it's not like it's happening inside of your head, and you're taking in like the world around you and distilling it into this song, and I'm happy to be like one of those things in the world around you that you're taking and distilling, and like honored to be a part of that process for you. But like, this is your song.
Yeah.
Like if you write a book and somebody edits the book, like it's your book. Um,
Yeah.
they don't suddenly become the
Their
author.
name isn't like the big one on the bottom or
Yeah, like
whatever.
Ryan also worked on this. It's like yeah, Ryan was the editor, and was yeah. Um, so I don't know, like it sounds awesome to like sit in a room with those people that I mentioned, but like I wouldn't want to like write songs with them either. I mean, fuck if if Bonnie Iver was like, "Hey Nat, you should come to my studio and write a song with me," I'd be an idiot if I was like, "No,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
yeah.
good. I don't
You
really
you
fly
wanted to
for it."
say that, and then you thought about it, and you were like, Well,
Yeah,
okay, let's not go that far."
yeah. I mean, yeah. No, I mean the list is long. I'm a huge fan of rap as well. Just like for the lyrical, like Kendrick Lamar is amazing. Aesop Rock, not to be confused with ASAP Rocky, but Aesop Rock is like one of my favorite lyricists of all time. Still waiting to hear back from him on Instagram message I shot him, but one of the few people I've reached out to being like, "Dude, you changed my life. You changed the world. Like, thank you." Yeah, there's a million folks out there, and I'm sure if you asked Rowan the same question, he would give you a list of names you've never heard of, which are like the people behind the scenes of all the albums that you love,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because it's like real sweet. Because yeah, he's always like, he'll be like, oh, cool, like that person put out a new album, and then like look through the credits and be like, all right, who actually made this?
yeah, yeah. No, I'm a huge like credit person. Like
Yeah,
at anytime I'm listening to something new on Spotify, it's like going to the credits button and looking through because it's so awesome. And that's how you find out about all these amazing like musical talents, like John Bellion, who like hasn't worked on or like released original stuff in like years or however long it's been, but is like continuously working on like hit after hit after hit as like either a writer or producer, and it's like it's insane how how there are some people that like are as much as they're wanting to work with you and open to it and things like that, they're not like being greedy about like the credits or like needing their name on it or things like that.
Right.
Which is awesome, and like probably the perfect mixture you would want from like a collaborator or someone you're working with.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that deserve more recognition for what they're doing.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, it would be a mess if it was like, check out Beyonce's new song. It's by Beyonce and this
Well,
person and
yeah,
this person and this person and
because
this
you look
person.
at those songs and those albums, and there's like 10 writers on it, and you
Right.
like it'd get annoying if like every time I'm playing a Spotify song, there are 10 artist names at the bottom that's like scrolling back and forth for. So it's like finding that balance of like their names on it somewhere, but maybe not as like a main artist. Um,
Right.
and so in like a similar vein as to the artist question, like if are there any like dream venues or festivals that you want to play your music at?
Mm. No, not really. I'm happy where I am,
Yeah,
and I've gotten to
awesome.
play some really amazing spots. I think some of my favorite theaters that I've gotten to play in are like something called the Majestic in Madison, Wisconsin, or the Bluebird Theater in Denver, which are like old. They were old theaters that were designed before amplification, before
Yeah,
electric amplification. So these rooms are designed so that you can be on the stage, and if you're standing in a certain place, and people in the back of the room can hear you talk at a normal volume, which is just like
that's awesome.
incredible. And when you
Yeah,
like like I on that for both of those shows, I was just playing solo acoustic, and I mean I was plugged in and amplified. But when you're like ripping, when I like scream in a room like that, it like shakes. It feels it like comes back to me, and it's
it just adds another level to it.
yeah, it adds another level of like this like feedback loop of like being able to hear yourself sound that good, and then you get excited, and it's like the passion. It's like a it like feeds into the passion more.
Yeah,
So those are really cool spaces to play. But no, I'm
and
not like attached to
yeah, awesome.
playing in a
But
big fat.
actually, like something I just thought of with like the backyard shows you do. Has there been anyone's like backyard that was just like a super cool like setting or a cool show that you got to do?
Oh yeah, I mean yeah, so many. Yeah, the people just like open their little spaces up. Yeah, cool little like courtyards of people's houses. Played on someone's boat once.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, this one of my favorite shows ever, which is like not even a show. This is like the smallest. It was during that summer tour of last year that I was describing to you.
Yeah,
It was in northern Colorado, and I like showed up at this guy's house on like a Tuesday night, and there was like I think it was four of them there, and he was like, "It's a really rural area," and he's like, "Yeah, dude, sorry, like I invited like 10 other people, but like they couldn't make it." And I was like, "Oh, cool. Like you invited 14 people to a show. Like, yeah, you know, like probably that makes sense that there's only four people here, um, but like I played it anyways. And it was awesome because they got to like, just talk. Like I was just performing for four people, and like they
yeah.
made a great, like this guy made an awesome dinner, and we all just like sat around, and I like played music on and off sort of just on his porch. And it was just like this beautiful view of like the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And afterwards, we just like hung out on the porch, and they had phosphorus night vision goggles, which is like white night vision. I don't know a lot about night vision, but it's like a different chemical, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
different
Different way of having night
process,
vision.
yeah, so that
Yeah,
the light is white, not green. And it was just we were like looking off
cool.
of this guy's porch and like seeing like animals on the opposite hillside, like walking around in the middle of the night, and like looking at the stars through night vision and seeing like all these satellites and things. And so yeah, I think it's less about like as I'm describing this, it's like it's not so much the places themselves that were like cool or not cool. It's like the stories of each
Yeah, the
place.
people, the experiences.
Yeah, like the boat was, like this guy's birthday party in the middle of Missouri at his lake house with like his friends, and it was like we all stayed up all night and like yeah, just it, yeah,
Yeah.
just like mixed of all
Yeah.
ages and like dogs and kids jumping off a boat and fireworks, and it's just like that's amazing. That's where I also that's the other piece of this, I guess, or not the other piece of this, but like where if I look at this and I'm like money aside, like I feel like I'm changing people, I'm helping people on some level. I also and so like that fills me with like a sense of purpose. But I also get to like it's so cool to have music be the vessel that like helps introduce me to different people. Um,
Yeah.
I just get to go and hop in my like people will be like, let's go on a road trip. And like, yeah, it's great. You go get to see national parks and like you'll meet people and but like when I go on a road trip, I'm like going to people's houses that are like wanting to put me up. They're excited to have me there. We're like
Yeah.
giving to each other. They've listened to this music that is like emotional and intimate, and they're like ready to talk about their feelings. And because I've already done that with them in some level, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's like it's like I've
And you just get
everyone,
to meet people and hang out with people.
yeah, and it's like they feel like family, like relatives, and so I'm so grateful for that to be able to like go around the world or the country and have that be that experience. So that's a long-winded and a roundabout way of answering and not really answering your question, but like
No, no,
so many
it's
cool
awesome.
experiences from
Yeah.
like playing live shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, yeah, it seems awesome. It honestly seems like a cool idea. Like I'm now thinking about it, like why don't other artists or bands do this where they're just like playing where they can or like reaching out to fans and being like, "Hey, let me play on your boat, let me play on your porch," or anything like that. Cuz it's probably such a cool and unique experience versus like all the setup or like prep that goes into like a concert or a show. Um, so those are, all the questions that I had for you today. But right before we wrap up and everything like that, I have a little segment that I like to do called Know Your Stuff, where I'm just gonna play like short snippets of your songs. And the one part of it is just if you can like listen to it and name it, and the other one is just letting us know anything about like that song or the story behind it that we didn't get to in the main interview.
Cool. That's a nice. This is cool,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, the first one I have for you is
Plummeting down, down to your home.
Yeah. That's hydrogen.
yeah, yep.
The
So, yeah,
first verse, first chorus. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So do you have any like cool stories connected to that song or anything like that? And totally fine if not.
Yeah.
It's just also a way to have fans listening to this like get to have a sense of your style.
Yeah. That song is like loosely about like breaking up with someone, but it's kind of just an acknowledgement of like every single person is my music is sad as fuck, but it's also it comes from like I'm a happy person, so like it's kind of these like sad the that song's about just like the sad
I'm a happy
truth.
person with sad music.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's that's and it's not that it helps, helps you
Yeah,
be
yeah,
happy. But yeah, that song's just about like how as much as you try to like see it a different way, like we're all alone in our heads. Um, and so like breaking up with someone or ending a relationship, whatever that might relationship might look like, it can feel like, oh my God, now I'm like alone, but like you were always alone.
yeah.
Like there's nobody else in your head with you, hopefully. Um, and yeah, and just like that acknowledgement. And it's not, I mean, I'll say too, that's not like a reason to despair or like point at that and be like, life is inherently shitty. It's just that's the reality.
That's
So
the
anytime,
reality. Yeah,
yeah, and to me though, that any time that it doesn't feel like that is a fucking miracle, and you should like that
celebrate that.
celebrate it, appreciate it. Like just you and me
Yeah.
talking right now, like this is so great. Like I,
Yeah, which is why I love like podcasting so much or doing things like this because as much as it's like quote unquote content or things like that or like oh just something I'm gonna have to work on and edit later like right now it's literally just a conversation like I'm just
yeah,
on a Zoom call with you talking hanging out things like that um and so it's awesome to just have moments of like experiencing life and talking with other people.
yeah, yeah. It's like
Awesome.
there's a sweetness to it. So like it's a when you acknowledge the sort of darker parts and you don't despair about them, but you like tell it like it is, then the parts that aren't become even like brighter.
Yeah. Awesome. All
If
right.
that makes sense.
Well, the next one I have here is yeah, Hope Ghost.
Also like a similar. I mean that that song starts off with "Everyone I love's gonna die." That's the first lyric. Um,
So if you had
yeah, I
any
mean,
questions as to whether it's happy or sad music, there
yeah,
you go.
yeah. Don't listen to it if you're watching this podcast later and you're not in the mood for getting a little sad. Yeah, that I mean that song's a lot. That's older, and I think I'm so proud of it. But that's got to be like 10 years old at this point almost. Yeah, it's probably 10 years old. That song I think was like that's about like a lot of different feelings. Uh, yeah, I haven't thought
And
about that one.
yeah,
In a while.
no,
That's one I haven't really played. So I don't
yeah,
want to
no
like.
pressure to get into it. Also, if you don't feel like it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's like about uh, loosely. It's about like my relationship with hope and like what I'm, what that does for me.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. And the last one that I have here is
That's that.
yep.
I'm down fast. Yeah. Yeah, that song is I wrote that right when like the lockdowns happened during COVID. The first line of that song is "That didn't change a lot. The world's already strange enough," um, and that was also. I feel like from this conversation, people are gonna be like, "Damn, this guy gets in a lot of breakups." But that was like, I kind of just started dating someone, and then COVID happened, and she was like, "Yeah, I can't do this. I got to be with my family." And so that was kind of like, all right, well, that didn't change much. Like, the world's crazy right now. Like, sure, like,
Yeah.
okay. And uh, yeah, just uh, that song's about just like wanting to change uh, and yeah, just like acknowledging the sad parts of life. Like the second verse is sleeping on a train of thought. Sometimes I want to make it stop, uh, but that would be playing God, and I don't want to play with God. That's asking a lot, and I don't got much. And that's just like if you're stopping your train of thought, you're dead. And yeah, it's just being like, wow, this is a lot. But like, yeah, if it were up to me, we would keep coming true, and it would never stop.
Yeah.
Like we're all like just trying to become our truer, better selves.
Yeah. And there's always something you're working on to like improve with
Yeah,
yourself. And so it's never stopping. It's a never ending like thing to try to keep getting better.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I mean, those are all the questions I had for you today. So thank you so much for coming on. I feel like this was a
Cool.
great time, a great conversation, and I definitely learned a lot. I feel like it was a super cool time. And so if there's anyone out there listening that you want to promote, like Instagram, Spotify, anything like that, just feel free to shout it out now.
Oh, like other people?
Or for you,
Oh,
two
okay, yeah,
people listening. Your
sure.
stuff, two people listening.
Nat Lefkoff on Google, or like any search engine. There's not a lot of Lefkoffs out there, which
If
is
there's a search bar, put in Nat Lefkoff.
yeah, and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and feel free to reach out. I'll like let's talk. That's
Yeah,
my.
reach out because you're
Let me
going to
play his
him
backyard.
as I learned getting him on here. You're reaching out to him. It's not a team or anything like that. You're talking to him, which is awesome and something that should happen more often, in my opinion. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'll leave a link to some of your stuff down below if people want to go listen to that. And I can't wait to hear this album coming out later this year.
Awesome. Thanks. Really appreciate you having me here.